Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show.
Join us as we cover many an insane movie and numerous cult TV phenomenons. Are you ready to get jacked up? Are you with us? Then listen on.
Listener discretion is advised. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. Jacked Up Review Show.
And welcome all to the show. We got Katherine Caruso here, actress, filmmaker, and realtor. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I got zero complaints in this chaotic world. How did you get into the industry?
Which industry are we talking about?
The film. The film.
Film industry, something I always wanted to do, and when I was in college, I just started taking film classes, and it kind of went from there.
Yeah, I saw that you had some theater experience on you, and you even worked somewhere in the Department of State. I was like, man, so how did those offers come about, if you can say?
There. Well, I grew up in Virginia, Fairfax, Virginia. So in the DC area, we have just a realm of opportunities here to get into, whether it's military, defense contracting, or all sorts of things. And it was just one of the routes that I felt would be good to take. It's funny you ask, because when I was in college, I actually studied government. I kind of studied both. But that's kind of where that came about. And when I was in college, I was studying acting, and I think that's when I started taking on my internships at the State Department. So I started there, and then one thing led to another.
Stellar. And when did the acting bug just really kick in, where you're just like, nah, I'm going to focus on that more?
Oh, gosh. I had that since I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Being paid to pretend,
Yeah, it was like, well, this is what I want to do. But when I started taking my college classes, I was trying to figure out what else I can study just to have, another regular job. And my father, he's always been a realtor. Oh, before that, he also worked for the government. But
Nice.
Real estate took off really well for him. So he was doing that, and he said to me, just when you go to college, just, I don't know, find something that interests you. And I was like, well, I just want to be an actress, but I guess I could study, psychology and then go to law school or something. So that was kind of the plan. And after my first year, I think it was like my second semester in college, I was actually going to the Catholic University of America, which is an amazing school, and we have amazing professors. I really liked my classes, and it kind of really hit me that I was not doing what I really loved, and I switched my major to acting.
Stellar.
But with that being said, I did take a bunch of psychology classes before that, which actually helped me with my acting. So it was a really good thing.
Way cool. And so when you got into realtor stuff, did you find it kind of an interesting knack because you just got to have charisma and before you make a sell or whatever, or was it just a bit of a struggle at first?
Oh, well, I saw a lot of real estate transactions happen, kind of as a kid and my whole life growing up. My dad started a long, long time ago, and he just became so good at what he did. He was kind of like a local celebrity.
Nice.
And yeah,
There's
like
a mentor right there. Yeah.
all my friends had, his calendar on their fridge. Somehow he knew their parents, and they every time I was at like a friend's house, and I think I was in, 5th grade or 6th grade at this point, and they were all like, "Oh yeah, your dad's calendar's on our fridge," and he would take me to all of his listings, to see all the houses. So I think it was just kind of in me that when I decided, okay, I need a job that's going to allow me to have the flexibility and freedom to pursue the job that I want to do. So I'm going to be a realtor and help my dad out. He already had it going. So that's how that started.
Stellar. Very stellar. Free education right there, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, he is such a good teacher. And at this point, he's not only my mentor, but he's a mentor to like all the other realtors that I know and my friends that are interested in real estate. So it's been really cool.
Dude. Okay, so when did you decide to get into martial arts?
Oh, I didn't decide to get into martial arts.
It shows you.
It happened. And by the way, if you hear noises in the background, like my dog, she's like 28 pounds, but she's got a really loud voice. So she might go off.
I can't hear. But yeah, you studied Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and Krav Maga. So
yeah, I actually had a really close friend of mine who went to the gym, and she was like, "Hey, you want to try it?" I think I was in college. Well, okay, that's not 100% the whole story. I actually did some classes when I was way younger, like a lot of us get into. But when I started getting into like the real serious stuff, I mean, this was like an MMA gym. And the people that were going there were like really hardcore. So I think I just went to like 1 or 2 classes, and I was like, oh, this is a good workout. I should do it just to stay in shape.
Right. And by this point, were you already trying to get acting gigs, and you're realizing, okay, everyone's got to have a certain look and that they got to market in addition to their acting talent. So that kind of went hand in hand, like you say.
I mean, in a way, because I was always pretty intense with like working out and keeping up with, my fitness. So it was, for me, just kind of something else to do. I think I was just bored with what else I was doing, going to
Nice.
classes, and I needed something to fill my time.
Well, no, that's cool that it wasn't becoming work or a hassle to just fit it into your already busy and demanding schedule. So.
Oh my gosh, no, it was so much fun. Have you ever been to one of those MMA gyms that does like everything? Like they do not just MMA, but they do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then they have like Muay Thai instructors from Thailand, and
They're always amazing, aren't they? They'll sneak in some Pilates as well as just some other just uh, easier, fitness class in with those who want to use the boxing or mixed martial arts area of the gym. And I respect them all because, I mean, the instructors themselves, anyone I'm gone to, anywhere you go, it's always, someone who's just extremely patient and knows instantly what are you're worth their time, and will even save you a buck by saying, hey, I'm not sure if I'm on your level, but I know someone else who might be, that it's just so rare to find that kind of help.
oh my gosh, yes. And they were mentors, and they were so gentle, because I remember like going in there. I mean, I was like, this small girl, and I started Muay Thai, and that's the first thing I did. But then when I saw they had jujitsu, some of the other people that did Muay Thai were like, "Oh, you should, try this jujitsu class." And I just didn't even think twice. I wasn't like, "Oh yeah, I'm like half the size of
No
everybody
peer pressure.
And I think there was only one other girl, and to be honest, I didn't enjoy rolling with her as much because she was really intense. Like, she was harder to roll with than anybody else.
Do you still keep in touch?
What's that?
You still keep in touch with the gym?
I do. I keep in touch with my gyms, and they're all good people, and I just, there's always something to learn.
Totally. What was the biggest lesson that you took away from it overall?
Oh, that's such a hard question.
All good.
I don't know what.
There's no easy answers.
I think when it comes to self-discipline, martial arts is one of those things that teaches you that. To just keep training and keep pushing yourself, because eventually you'll get there, and that it takes time. Because with the belt system, Muay Thai didn't have a belt system, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu did. And you couldn't just go in there and expect that you're going to be like the best after, even a year of training or 2 years of training. It's like 10, 15 years before you can even get to those levels. So, you gain a lot of respect for everybody who's been there and who's dedicated themselves to doing this like day in and day out. But at the same time, you have to learn kind of who to be careful when you get into like a sparring match or when you're rolling with people, because if they don't learn kind of the basics, that you have to be gentle, and you have to be careful with other people, and to respect that. It's for practice. You're not there. You're not in front of a whole bunch of people trying to like tear somebody's shoulder off. Because I've had instances where actually this guy picked me up and like tried to slam my head on the ground, and my instructor was like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
I totally know what you mean. I unfortunately denied myself a proper martial arts training, but I did do a bit of stage combat, and that was even trickier, where you had to tell people, okay, you will make contact, but you will not actually, punch me without actually hurting me. You have to, and we're theater, we're not doing stunts or martial arts, but it was a choreography all the same. And anyone who's even taken up dancing or wrestling knows the same kind of dealio.
Right. That is so much fun, doing stage combat. I loved classes like that, and those can be dangerous too. I was always like, is that real? Like, is what you're taking out?
Are your feet in proper shape? Can you spin around? It's not easy.
Right. Right. Yeah, I got to do so one of my earlier shorts was it was by a friend. Well, he's now a friend. Cerebral arts, and his gosh,
Cerebral. Now we're
his
getting deep. Nice.
yeah, yeah, he is. He's one of those like really, really intense, smart people, and he had like this great vision for this character and this whole like universe that he created. But her name was Graves, and the film was called Graves, and it's about her and kind of wanting to get out of the life of being an assassin, which she had like enjoyed for so many years, and then she kind of gained some morals and was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. You guys are not doing good things, and so she tries to get out of it, and they're kind of going after her, telling her she has to stay, and giving her all kinds of threats. So he brought in Nate Schrader's dad, who was he was I forgive me if this isn't 100%, but he was a stage combat choreographer somewhere in DC or Virginia.
Yeah.
And so he taught us, like on the spot how to spar with these like katanas. And it was so much fun. That was one of the best experiences.
Who would you say has been your mentor for most of this time of your life?
My dad, he's a really big mentor to me.
Okay. Interesting. Was he happy with your changing career paths, or?
My dad's always been really supportive of me. You know, so whatever I wanted to do, he would back that. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So, you got multiple skills. You had no resistance and aversion to whatever path you chose. What keeps you going, though? What makes you decide, hey, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to make a difference in the world?
Yeah. Gosh, these are deep questions. They're awesome though. I get up and I think I just want to do something. It's like, oh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna accomplish? Because I have like this long-term goal, long-term vision of what I want my life to be like. And I think ever since I was like 5 years old, I just kind of pursued that. And there's going to be things that happen. Life happens, and it's tough. And you just have to. You have to work through it. That's another lesson I learned, is that when shit hits the fan, you kind of sometimes have to accept that you might have to deal with it, like with COVID. People are dealing with a lot of stuff, and it's unexpected. So you have to just kind of find a way to work through it, and it's not easy. It's been tough.
Totally. I saw that you had also just done just so many movies and shows that had spiritual themes. Were you always kind of a spiritual person to begin with?
Yeah, I am. I do consider myself that, because I kind of converted to Christianity. I was born Catholic, and I would say that's one of the things that kind of keeps me going.
Cool. And you've done so many short films and web series and cable TV appearances. What's the next step? Are you gonna probably try getting on some bigger scale shows? Are you gonna try maybe even using one of your swords as like a sizzle reel so you can get maybe a bigger movie or TV show independently crowdfunded? Well, what's next?
I actually have a group of people. It's mainly the three of us, Jose, Juan, and me, and we've been starting to produce our own films, and we started that a few years ago, before the whole pandemic. And the plan was we were going to do a short together. And what we accomplished was we put a reel together because they've actually written some or all of the scripts. And so the next step is to actually just make sure we have the gear to film with it and then find the locations. And we started that and we filmed one short, we filmed one reel. And at this point, it's just kind of to continue putting them together before we put it out there.
Stellar. Who are your MVPs? Who are your constant collaborators that you find?
The people that I actually mentioned are pretty close to me. In fact, the podcast that I sent you, we just started. It's called The Mystery Radio Show. And that was his idea because he's actually written a ton of novels and he put out kind of like a blog, so he has his own website where he writes these, shorter versions of his stories. And our idea was just to put that into, a podcast and then to take his novels and make them audiobooks. So that's something that we're working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has writing always kind of come naturally to you?
No, I'm not a writer.
Oh, okay, but you're still collaborating with it.
I just provide the voice. That's it.
Okay, well, that's still pretty key in terms of how you're bringing a voice to life and you're figuring out how to read the part versus become the character. So.
Yeah, I saw a girl that was in one of my acting training classes. She just posted this on Facebook, and I was like, I love your accent. I can't believe, she's doing such a good job, and it looks like she kind of put it all together on her own. I mean, for me, I took French classes, so to have to do an accent, I feel like, okay, I could do a French accent because I know how to speak French a little bit. But she actually said she's never taken Spanish. She just had a friend, and this person taught her enough that she can do a whole audiobook with Spanish, not only the accent in English, but also Spanish words. And I think there were a couple others. There might have been like a German, and I was just so impressed by her video. I was like, wow, she literally just did this for like some project,
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like without like a professional, those people that you hire at the name.
Tutors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tutors.
Yeah. But so I just do that. I know some writers, and I have a couple other books. They're amazing novels, and I'd like to get them out there on Audible. And it's just going to take some time, but I'd like to put those out there too, as well as my friend Juan's stuff.
By means. So very cool. Yeah, I can actually vouch for that. If you're learning with someone who's just better, you can sometimes just give it your all because they're breaking it down in a way that even a professional teacher or professor might not be able to. So, however you gotta learn it, take advantage of it, relish it, don't pass it up.
Yeah, I think I've had enough acting classes to know what I'm doing there, but when it comes to accents and, this woman is doing like 5 different voices. I wouldn't even, that's her skill. It's not my skill. But to be able to be on a set and have someone actually teach you, how to really pick up some foreign accent, I think would be so much fun. Or even to speak another language, as long as, you have the ability to learn that with the time frame that you're given. I think that would be so awesome.
Absolutely. So what would you actually have on in your mind that you want to master or learn at some point? Any new skill that would be interesting?
Any new skills, just kind of in general, or for
Yeah.
acting?
Acting, it can be anything else related that you just like, I've always had an interest in that, but never made time for it. What will I make time for?
I did always want to learn different languages, but I kind of gave up on that, just learning them fully, But I think it would be cool to learn enough to be able to do, a character that actually spoke in a different language. Because, for a movie or for a show, it's not like you have to be completely fluent and you're not doing things.
You have to look the part, sound the part. You just gotta do a few different dialects that might be used for like ADR or background info or voiceovers.
Yeah, to do something like that, to do like a Filipino movie or an Italian movie or something, that would be fun. And when it comes to other skills, I would like to continue with the stunts and the martial arts. I'd like to be able to actually work with people who are filming that.
I mean, any other future projects you would like to promote?
Well, I do have this podcast that I started, and you can find that on Apple Podcast. It's the Mystery Radio Show, or it's on my.
I saw that was like they're on SoundCloud. I didn't know if that was a guest spot or if you were still doing that. So very cool.
Yeah. It's on SoundCloud. I literally just started it, I think, during the pandemic, and then I was like, well, I think now is a really, really great time to do audio work, and I'm just gonna sit myself down in a chair and make sure I get it done.
Stellar.
And he has a ton of different stories. They're all like mystery, kind of crime, thriller type dramas, and I think he's a great writer. So I enjoy that.
Were you into true crime prior to this?
I am. I love true crime.
Nice.
I love crime series too. Like I would watch Law and Order and the other one, Criminal Minds, all the time.
Excellent. And what cases are you guys going to be detailing if you want to promote any of those episodes?
I'd have to ask him, because I don't know if any of these are actually real stories that he's heard. I know that a lot of the stories that he writes do come from some type of inspiration, but I think these are all 100% fictional.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. But they're heavily inspired by very well-known cases.
Oh yeah, stuff that, he comes across all the time. And he's a very avid writer. It's always something new. So the first one I did is about a girl who's in high school, and she's almost got this weird kind of well, I'd say I don't want to compare her to Dexter in that sense, but like the way that it's written is it's from her perspective, so you're hearing like the whole perspective of the killer.
Oh, dear.
And she's not by any means like good.
I know. I just so you would say probably pretty edgy at times, so pure discretion advice.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Do you have any inspiration or advice for anyone else getting into your part of the industry, like how to try and do voice acting, how to try and get gigs, how to just stay positive in a very difficult job profession?
Yeah. Well, I think the network that you have matters a lot too. And when I say that, I mean, who in your life do you feel that you're connected to, like your friends, your family, because those people will help you stay positive and inspire you to keep going, and because there's a lot of rejection when it comes to this industry. And if you know that what you're doing is right for you, those people will also kind of help remind you of that when you're down on yourself. But when it comes to going out there, every opportunity, I think what I did was I just kind of started, and I just didn't let anything hold me back. So every opportunity I was given, I would just take it. I was doing a lot of non-union stuff, and that's kind of how I got to this point. And if I think something also that matters is doing something that you feel is right for you, because not every part is going to be not every part is something that you're going to feel really confident or comfortable with. And I mean, whether that's you don't want to do nudity, or you don't want to do, there's all kinds of reasons that people will not do a particular role or a particular film or whatever. I think
Cursing or just too over the top, weird message or political.
yeah, for whatever reason. Yeah, I mean, I was contacted by some people to do like a horror short, and I got really creative with them about it. But I was like, yeah, I believe in you guys, but this isn't the right character for me. And I actually handed it off to a friend of mine. I was like, you guys can audition her if you want.
That's cool. You still helped out in some capacity, as opposed to, yeah, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I want to help them. And it's kind of one of those decisions that you have to make. You have to be like, do I really think that I can give them everything that they're looking for? Because their vision, I don't know if it's the same as mine, but I just there's going to be
everyone's time.
Because I mean, even if they think I'm good, I think that at the end of the day, you want to feel comfortable with what you're putting out there. You have to kind of do what feels good for you. And that's not to say that any project is not great. It's just kind of like whether you like horror films or you like comedy, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks
So
much
did I answer that question?
You did, but these aren't, even though it can be an easy yes or no, it's still great to just detail what makes it tick.
You're going to meet tons of people that you that are good at what they do, and that you can collaborate with. And when you meet people like that, and maybe even become friends with people like that, you never know what can happen. Maybe you guys work together on some capacity. I mean, that's how I actually started doing kind of what I'm doing now, because I actually had a friend, we met at the gym, and he was selling jewelry and like really fine jewelry, and wanted me to do a photo shoot for him, for his line. And, I said yes. And that's how I met his photographer. And he had his own ideas. So that's why I say, like, I think, put yourself out there, and it's like, it just kind of comes to you. Yeah. I mean, and on top of that, like, when I was in college, I was working on a monologue with my acting professor, who's really good. And I remember him like really going in depth with me on the monologue and telling me what I needed to work on at that point. And it's like these synchronicities, like I come home and my mom was like, hey, there's this audition for that character. Or I don't even know if she knew that I was working on this particular character, but she must have heard me doing the monologue in my room.
Somewhere.
Maybe I told her, you know.
Maybe she's a psychic. I don't know.
But I mean, at that time, I was like, you know, maybe 18. I wasn't looking at the Washington Post to see, you know, what theatrical gigs there were at that time or that day, you know. So
Very cool. Well, thank you ever so much for being on here, and hopefully others can hear your story and be inspired by that.
Thank you so much for having me. It was
For your
fun.
time. This was a great way to start off the day. Important story. Someone who knows how to tell it.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try
They must be destroyed on sight.
the new Podcast Cure-All? Sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of
They must be destroyed on sight.
as needed, and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of it.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
Little
popping
history doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was
How
going to be
did
a
you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Hey everybody, I'm Corey.
And I'm Zach, and we're the hosts of Podcasting After Dark, a cast dedicated to late-night horror and sci-fi of the 80s and 90s, often found on HBO and Cinemax.
You know, the movies your parents didn't want you watching as a kid. You can find us every other week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Stitcher.
This is what you want.
This is what you get.
It's time, let's check our queue, baby. Pair it with a couple brews, baby. We love good movies. We love the bad ones too. So we watch them all and pass their lessons on to you. Oh yeah. Everything I learned from movies helps to make life a little bit groovy. With a one-last plot holes of gratuitous movies. It's time to get busy with your friend Steve and Izzy. At eilfm.podbean.com.
Welcome to Who Was She podcast. I am your host, Tara Jabari. After a decade working in documentaries, marketing, and all things digital media, I found that podcasting is a strong medium to share stories. After years of producing for others, I decided to start my own biographical podcast. Who Was She will focus on the life of a woman throughout Baha'i history. The first season is about Lydia Zamenhof. Lydia's story explores the subjects of the power of language and faith. Her father invented the universal language Esperanto, and she came from a Jewish family and became a Baha'i. She grew up during World War I and was killed during World War II in a concentration camp, despite heroic efforts to save her life. How can one person's life intersect with so many others, connect across borders, and inspire a biography which inspired this podcast? Over the next few weeks, I will share her story with you and the lives that were most affected by her and those who affected her life as well. They include her father, Ludwig Zamenhof, her spiritual mother, American journalist Martha Root, and the Baha'i German soldier Fritz Mako, who worked for the resistance undercover while having to serve the Nazi Party. I want to thank the author Wendy Heller and George Ronald Publishing for their blessing to let me use Heller's biography, Lydia, The Life of Lydia Zamenhof, Daughter of Esperanto, as a main and instrumental resource for this podcast. So please subscribe and learn about this amazing woman who traveled through 3 continents in an effort to bring unity through the power of language. You can also find more information on our Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at Who Was She Podcast. Music was composed and performed by Sam Red. I am your host, Tara Jabari. Join us next time as we begin our journey about Lydia Zamenhof.
Are you sick of the same old stale podcasts? Well, then join Vanessa and Darren as they dissect movies of all kinds. The 2 lifelong cinema lovers bring their favorites, curiosities, and first-time watches to the operating table and inject them with a healthy dose of snark. Then there's the waiting room, where they examine books and short stories. So just look for them on Apple Podcasts and where fine podcasts are available. They're part of the Legion Podcast Network. Follow them on Twitter at VDClinicPod. Join them on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/VDClinicPod. Or email them at vdclinicpod@gmail.com. They're ready to cure what ails you. And still, they just might be a little contagious.
Hi there. It's Heather from the Watching Netflix Without You podcast. Did you know that there are over 1,200 Netflix original feature films and documentaries? And that number is only growing. So I've made it my mission to watch as many as I possibly can. Then, with a delightful guest or guests, disclaimer, more often than not my brother Ryan, we spend an episode rating, reviewing, and discussing a film at length. The first half of every episode is spoiler-free for those who haven't seen it yet, and in the second half, after a very clear spoiler warning, we dive into it. And that's really about it. You can listen to Watching Netflix Without You on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more.
We now continue with our program.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up